I didn't walk into that building planning to teach anyone a lesson. I wasn't angry yet. I wasn't looking for justice or revenge or a viral moment. I was just tired in that quiet way you get when you've spent years proving yourself to people who decided who you were before you ever opened your mouth. And I had no idea that by the end of that night the same people who laughed at me would be scrambling to pretend they'd never met me at all. It started simple. A charity gala in a downtown hotel that smelled like expensive perfume and old money. I arrived alone, wearing a plain navy dress I'd bought years ago, nothing flashy, nothing that screamed importance. That part was intentional. I'd learned long ago that when you don't look powerful, people show you exactly who they are. And honestly, I wanted to see it for myself. The ballroom glittered. Chandeliers, marble floors, champagne everywhere. The kind of place where people talk about helping the world while stepping over the people actually holding the trays. I noticed it right away. Guests were mostly white, loud, confident. Staff were mostly people of color, quiet, invisible. Nobody said it out loud, but the hierarchy was clear. You could feel it in the air. I stood near a tall cocktail table sipping water, listening. Conversations floated past me. Jokes about diversity hires, complaints about taxes. Someone laughed about saving the inner city like it was a hobby, not people's lives. I smiled politely when eyes passed over me the way you do when you're used to being underestimated. You know what I mean? That's when she noticed me. She was loud young, dressed in red silk that probably cost more than my monthly rent back when I was starting out. Her friends hovered around her like satellites. She was trying to take photos near the champagne display, and apparently I was in the way of her perfect shot. "Excuse me," she said, not really asking. "You're blocking us." I turned surprised. "Oh, sorry, I'll move." I stepped aside, but it wasn't enough. She rolled her eyes, looked me up and down, and laughed. "Wow," she said loud enough for her friends to hear. "They're really letting anyone in here now." Her friends giggled. One of them whispered something and they all laughed again. I felt that familiar heat rise in my chest, but I pushed it down. I've been here before. Grocery stores, boardrooms, airports. Different places, same tone. I tried to walk away, but she stepped closer, phone already raised. "Wait," she said. "I'm just curious. Who invited you?" "I'm a guest," I said calmly. She smirked. "A guest. Sure. You don't really look like one." Her mother appeared beside her perfectly styled smile, tight and sharp. She glanced at me like I was something misplaced. "Is there a problem?" she asked her daughter. "Yes," the girl said. "She won't move and she's been hovering around us." That wasn't true, but truth didn't seem to matter anymore. The father joined next, tall, confident, drink in hand. He didn't even look at me when he spoke. "Security," he called out. "Can you handle this?" That word, "this," landed hard. A guard approached, already annoyed. He didn't ask what happened. He didn't ask my name. He just grabbed my arm and told me I needed to leave. I pulled back and told him not to touch me. He tightened his grip. People were watching now. Phones came out. Someone laughed. Someone else whispered, "She must have snuck in." Then it happened. The girl tipped her glass slowly, deliberately. Red wine spilled down my back, soaking into my dress, cold and sticky. She gasped dramatically. "Oops," she said, smiling. "Maybe next time, know your place." The room erupted. Laughter. Shock. Applause from a few people who thought cruelty was entertainment. I stood there, wine dripping onto the marble floor, heart pounding, but my face stayed still. In that moment, something clicked. I wasn't embarrassed anymore. I was clear. They escorted me out like a criminal through a side hallway into a small security room that smelled like bleach and metal. The police were called. When they arrived, the family told their story. I wasn't allowed to finish mine. I was interrupted, talked over, dismissed. My bag was searched. My ID questioned. My words treated like lies. I asked them to verify who I was, to make one phone call. They didn't. I was handcuffed. Yeah, that happened. I sat there under fluorescent lights, wrists aching. Dress ruined, replaying every moment in my head. Not because I doubted myself, but because I knew this wasn't just about me anymore. This was about how easily power closes ranks when it thinks it can. Then the door opened. Everything changed fast after that. A supervisor arrived, then another. Someone finally made the call. They should have made an hour earlier. Faces shifted. Voices lowered. The handcuffs came off. Apologies started flying messy and panicked. The family who laughed before wouldn't meet my eyes now. The girl was crying mascara, running phone shaking in her hands as notifications exploded. The room that had felt so sure of itself minutes ago was suddenly very, very quiet. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. I just said, "You didn't need to know who I was to treat me like a human being." The fallout was immediate and loud. Investigations, statements, lawyers. The videos spread faster than anyone could control. People came forward with stories, screenshots, recordings. Turns out, behavior like that doesn't happen in isolation. It's a pattern. And once one thread gets pulled, the whole thing starts to unravel. I went home that night exhausted, not triumphant. Justice doesn't feel like fireworks. It feels heavy. It feels like responsibility. Because once you stand up, once you're seen, you don't get to pretend you didn't see the rest. In the weeks that followed, more people reached out. People who'd been ignored, fired, silenced. They didn't all look like me. Some had less money. Some had no safety net at all. But they all had the same look in their messages. Relief, hope, fear, and proof. I kept the dress. I didn't clean it. It hangs in my closet, a reminder. Not of what they did, but of what happens when no one speaks up. Of how close humiliation and justice can be separated only by courage and timing. So here's my question to you, and don't answer it lightly. If you'd been there that night, phone in your hand, laughter in the room, would you have recorded? Would you have spoken up? Or would you have told yourself it wasn't your business? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Tell me what you've seen, what you regret, what you're proud of. Because stories like this don't end when the video does. They end when people decide that dignity isn't optional and silence isn't neutral. And yeah, that choice is yours.